Because it's a very generous tax relief, and in some situations you can get a credit back from the Treasury, there are a lot of sort of call centre mentality type providers out there.
All right, here we go. Louise, we're here today at South Beds Golf Club, just outside Luton. So I've got Louise Barth from Barth Consulting here. So Louise is an expert in land remediation relief, as it turns out this time. So we've got a couple of little videos we're doing. Now this blog is aimed at family businesses, and the idea is to just introduce some themes that businesses might come across during the life of their as they go about things, and also to sort of introduce some things to think about. So Louise, would you mind just introducing yourself again, please?
Yes. Morning, Derek, and welcome to South Beds Golf Club. This is my golf course. Lovely sunny day today, to talk about, amongst other things, land remediation relief. I specialise in capital allowances tax relief, but as a consequence of analysing expenditure on sort of fit-out projects, I often come across land remediation relief as well.
Okay, so now land remediation relief is a bit of a misnomer, isn't it? Because it's not just about land, it's also about buildings.
Yes, it's quite clear in the legislation that it covers remediating, contaminants from both buildings and land, yes.
Okay, now that's quite important because there's a big drive at the moment to reuse buildings instead of knock them down and start again, isn't there? They talk about carbon encapsulated in the building, etc. So if you can actually sort of take an existing building and actually convert it to modern purposes, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a real drive by the government to get people to reuse old buildings and brownfield sites, and land remediation relief is a perfect example of that. The tax relief is very generous to encourage people to remediate the contaminants responsibly and efficiently, and bring buildings back into use. And a typical example is a crusty old office building, and your client might go in there and completely replace all the air conditioning and the heating, and working in the plant room they'll come across some asbestos,
Right.
pipe lagging and ductwork and such like, or asbestos roof sheet in a more industrial situation, and it's not particularly nice and it's not safe, so it makes sense for them to remove it and replace it with a modern equivalent, and all of that costs a lot of money.
Okay, and there's some other aspects to this as well, isn't it? Not just asbestos, it could actually be involve contaminated land, knotweed as well, Japanese knotweed you've mentioned.
Yes, the typical things you'd get in the ground are hydrocarbons, so oil and petrol and battery acid and things like that. But yes, Japanese knotweed is a major problem on large industrial sites, and it can be quite detrimental to the existing buildings and their integrity. So it has to be removed at great expense.
Okay. Now, who actually qualifies for the relief? You mentioned developers and owners as well. So it could be...
Generally speaking, the entity that incurs the expenditure claims the land remediation relief, and to make a successful claim you have to have a major interest in the land or the building, so you have to have a freehold or a major leasehold interest in order to claim.
Right, so that sort of lends itself towards developers, but it could also be a business owner who's extending or buying a building next door or something.
Yeah, absolutely. We often think of developers doing wide-scale rejuvenation of an area, but yes, it equally applies to an owner-occupier or a tenant coming into a building that's got some nasty in there that they have to remove.
Okay. Now, it's a common theme that I keep coming across amongst professionals, and that's about getting in early, isn't it? So can you say something about planning early?
Yes, you need to plan quite early when it comes to these sort of tax reliefs, because there is an interaction between land remediation relief and capital allowances and your revenue expenditure, and there are deadlines, and you need to elect to claim your land remediation relief, and you have a 2-year window of opportunity, and if you miss that then you can't claim it.
Okay, and would you actually recommend going to a specialist, or can your accountant do these claims?
An accountant can, but it's probably not advisable, because would you expect your accountant to understand the complex Land Remediation Relief rules. Probably not.
Okay.
And there's a danger they miss something, or worse, they overclaim something, or they miss a deadline because they don't understand it.
Okay, and how would they find a professional? How would people, listeners to this blog, actually find a professional?
I think that one of the best ways is recommendation, referral. But look on LinkedIn. You'll find lots of professionals on LinkedIn who do land remediation relief like I do, and you know, check my bio out, and you'll see on there. You know,
but there is a bit of a safety thing here, isn't there? Because a lot of actually people are getting into this area of claims who may not actually have the expertise or the longevity to stick with it.
Yes, because it's a very generous tax relief, and in some situations you can get a credit back from the Treasury. There are a lot of sort of call centre mentality type providers out there who are cold calling people and hooking them in with promise of big tax relief.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily have the expertise. You're right, Derek.
Okay, good stuff.
Choose your advisor wisely.
Well done. And obviously you're happy for people to contact you through LinkedIn or through your website, etc.?
Absolutely, and just pick up the phone, old-fashioned phone call. You can usually get to the bottom of the matter and see if there's anything to be done and any savings to be made in a phone call.
Okay.
The detail comes later.
All right, top stuff. All right, Louise, that's another one out of the way. So thanks very much for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, lovely to talk to you, Derek. Thanks very much.
Thank you.